today. So this is our last kind of June session of the Wellness Wednesdays, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the anxious response. And I think that I'd like to have an interactive kind of session. So I will be doing some activities as we go through, guiding some different exercises and just talking about the anxious response, what we can do to kind of keep ourselves well, as well as some of the resources and supports that are available for everyone. So I think it's really important to kind of note that it's really normal when things are unknown or when there's a lot of change that we feel anxious, right? So given the pandemic and all of these things that have happened over the last few months, I'm not surprised that people are finding themselves feeling a bit more anxious or on edge than they might typically be feeling. So I thought I would start with an exercise. This is my favorite exercise. I do it in most of all my presentations, and it's the 3-minute breathing space. And basically the idea behind the 3-minute breathing space is that it gives you an opportunity to ground yourself in the present moment, right? Basically, when we feel anxious, it's usually because we are thinking about the past and thinking about coulda, woulda, shoulda, things that have gone wrong, things that haven't worked out, and kind of ruminating on that. Or we're thinking about the future and we're imagining all the bad things that might happen in the future. And so if we can actually make a concerted effort to bring our focus back to the present, it can alleviate some of that anxiety, right? So the 3-minute breathing space I really like because it is a very short exercise. It literally takes 3 minutes. And it's just a way to kind of, if you notice your mind kind of racing into the future or ruminating in the past, you can kind of cue yourself to do a 3-minute breathing space and just bring your attention to the present moment. So I'm going to walk you through this now. I want you to start by kind of deliberately adopting a dignified, erect posture. If possible, have your feet flat on the ground. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. And if that's not comfortable for you, just focus them softly to a spot on the floor or the wall, something like that. And then I'm going to take you through 3 steps. The first step is becoming aware. Here, bring your awareness to your inner experience. Ask yourself, what is my experience right now? What thoughts are going through my mind? As best you can, acknowledge thoughts as mental events, perhaps putting them into words. Ask yourself, what feelings are here? Turn toward any sense of emotional discomfort or unpleasant feelings and acknowledge their presence. Ask yourself, what body sensations are here right now? Perhaps quickly scan your body to pick up any sensations of tightness or bracing. Step 2 is gathering. Here, redirect your attention to focus on the physical sensations of the breath, breathing itself. Move in close to the sense of the breath in the abdomen, feeling the sensations of the abdominal wall expanding as the breath comes in and falling back as the breath goes out. Follow the breath all the way in and all the way out, using the breathing to anchor yourself in the present. If your mind wanders away at any time, which it probably will, just notice and then gently escort it back to the breath. Step 3 is expanding. Here, expand the field of your awareness around your breathing so that it includes a sense of your body as a whole, your posture, and facial expression. If you become aware of any sensations of discomfort, tension, or resistance, Take your awareness there by breathing into them on the in-breath. Then breathe out from those sensations, softening and opening with the out-breath. And as best you can, bring this expanded awareness to the next moments of your day. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring this exercise to a close. How did people find that? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Good, okay. So again, this is something that can really help center us, ground us, and be focused on the present moment. And that has a big impact on how stressed we are, how our anxiety is kind of playing out. So I always like to start that one to get people relaxed. And so now I just wanted to talk a little bit about the anxious response. So I'm sure that all of you have kind of heard this idea of fight or flight. So basically when we get anxious, our brains, the front part of our brain, which deals with logic, problem solving, rational thought, it shuts down. And then the amygdala, which is kind of that primal brain, goes into overdrive. And basically we have three choices when our anxious response is triggered. We can fight, we can flight, try to run away, or we can just freeze. And we don't really have a choice on what option our brain picks. It's just something that happens automatically. So some people, when they get very, very anxious and panicked, will have this, they'll just want to lash out, they'll want to fight, they'll get really angry. So, their muscles will tense, they'll be prepared to kind of survive. Some people will run away, some people will just freeze and be unable to do anything, right? And so, again, if we are in a life and death situation, these responses are very helpful, right? So if we are gonna if we're almost gonna step out into traffic and we realize we're gonna have this panic response to jump out of the way of the oncoming car or something like that, that's a really helpful response. We don't have to think about it, we just survive. The problem is that a lot of times this response gets triggered by things that aren't life and death. Our brain perceives them as life and death, so we worry about them and we get very, very anxious. So I mean, sometimes for students, they have a panic response or an anxious response to assignments and academic work, and they start to feel like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I think a lot of times we have this response to the unknown. So I think a lot of people have noticed with the pandemic and what's been happening with that is just this sense of not really knowing what's going to happen can cause us to have this anxious response or this panic response. And so if we're having that fight, flight, or freeze response, but it's not actually life or death, it can take a big toll on us, right? Because it's exhausting to feel anxious and panicked all the time. And so one of the really important things to remember is if we can get that amygdala to calm down and we can bring our, frontal part of the brain back on, that's gonna calm us down, right? The quickest way to do that is to focus on physical symptoms of anxiety or panic, right? So again, when we go into panic, our heart starts to race, our breath gets quicker, our muscles tense, our pupils dilate, our digestion slows down, everything kind of prepares for survival. And so one of the things we can do if we notice this response is to actually target those physical symptoms of anxiety in order to send signals to our brain that we are safe. You don't need to be triggering this panic button because I'm safe right now, right? So one of the quickest ways to do that is through the breath. If we can get our breathing to slow down, that in turn gets our heart rate to slow down, that sends messages to our brain that we are safe, right? So I like to do two different types of breathing, and sometimes people think it's silly that I actually go through this exercise, but I think it's helpful because I don't think we're always necessarily aware of our breathing and the impact it has on our stress levels and anxiety. So one really quick one, which you may have heard, is yoga breath, belly breath, that kind of thing. So it's just when you take a really deep breath and you want to feel it in your tummy. An easy way to do that is if you put one hand on your chest and then one on your stomach. You want to take a deep breath in And you want to feel the hand that's on your stomach moving. And sometimes it actually takes some time to get into that rhythm because we can get very used to breathing shallow in our chests. If you have trouble getting that breath in really deep, try to yawn. That always helps me do a deep breath. Okay. So that's one that you can do. Another one is square breathing, and that's the example that's on the slide. This is a way that you can slow your breathing down. What I like about this method is you kind of count, which also engages your brain in that. So instead of focusing on the worry, you can be focused on the counting. And so the way you do this is you want to inhale for a count of 4, pause for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, pause for a count of 4, and continue on. So I'm going to walk you through this 2 times. So you're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4, and you could just continue that cycle. If 4 seems challenging, you can move down to a 2 or 3. If 4 seems really easy, you can bump it up to a 5 or 6. So the idea is that you want to extend your breathing pattern so that you're actually slowing it down. That's going to do the same thing as the belly breath. It's going to slow down your heart rate, slow down all the other processes, and that makes the panic response turn off. Okay, so the more you practice these things, the more effective they can be. So what I always say to people is these are great strategies if you're actually feeling panicked, anxious, stressed. But if you're practicing them on a regular basis, they're even more effective. One, because you practice them, they become more second nature. So you're going to be quicker to pick up on, oh, I'm breathing very shallow, or my heart rate is going up. And 2, you get used to doing them. So it's not difficult to actually figure out how to do them. Sometimes if we try to practice a new skill when we're panicked, it's difficult to access that information because our brains aren't working totally 100%. Okay. Another exercise that can be really helpful for anxiety, panic, stress response is grounding. Have people heard this term before? The idea of grounding? Yeah. So it's kind of, again, the idea of grounding yourself in the present. So you're trying to take your mind away from all this worrying about the future or the past and focus it on what's actually right in front of you, right? So I like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique because it engages all your senses, right? So the more senses you engage, the more effective it can be. And so basically, we'll go through this together. So as I go through these, you can just name these things to yourself. So you would start by taking a deep breath, and then you would name 5 things that you can hear around you right now.
TV. My daughter.
Then you want to name 4 things that you can see right now.
I see TV. I see a lamp, curtains, beautiful Pride Parade flag.
And 3 things you can touch. And with this one, you might actually want to reach out and touch these things and notice what the texture is.
Touching a cup, coffee table, just like I guess just a chair.
2 things you can smell.
Pizza. And I smell coffee.
And then 1 thing you can taste. So what does the inside of your mouth taste like right now?
Like pizza sauce.
And then you would take another deep breath and you might want to repeat this and name 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 other things. Or you might find that you're kind of grounded and settled and you can kind of finish that exercise, right? So again, the whole idea is you're focusing on the present moment. You're bringing your brain away from all this worry and kind of settling your body.
Okay.
So those are some really good strategies to use in the moment. Also good strategies to practice so you get good at them. But one of the things I always talk about when I talk about the stress response or the anxious response is it's also really important that we're taking care of ourselves on an ongoing basis, right? So if we are not sleeping well, not eating well, not exercising, not having social connection, those things are going to make our anxiety and stress worse, right? So it's important to kind of have those baseline foundations in place so that we are less likely to have that anxiety or stress get out of control. So I'm wondering if anyone kind of want to share. I mean, Beverly, you were sharing earlier, you find Tai Chi really helpful for stress. So that's something you do. Are there other things that people have found that they find really important for keeping themselves well or that they find useful for stress relief?
I listen to meditation music. I meditate on the, like I listen to the native flute on like YouTube, and I sing some songs that I know. You know, Ojibwe first. I go out into the bush though. Like when I sing those songs, I like connecting with Mother Earth, and so I usually go to a spot right by the waterfront, or I get connected with water because like us women, we're water carriers, right? So the elders told me when I'm feeling disconnected with myself or with my spirit to go near water, or if I can't go near water, go for a shower or a bath.
Mm-hmm.
That'll kind of like calm you. Like I think of calming things like that. But I haven't gone for like a candle bath in a long time. So that kind of helps with relaxing music and like just turn the lights out, have a little candle. Like it changes the mood of everything.
Yeah.
And just like shut everybody else out. I just kind of like focus just in the moment. And that kind of helps a little bit. So I don't normally do that, the candlelight, as much anymore. My dad told me that my girls, those candles, they're no good for you breathing in the candle smoke. So I kind of think about that, and I'm like, okay. So I started doing other things out in nature,
Mm-hmm.
and I go to the waterfront or up on the mountain. I go biking. Like I started biking everywhere, so it's actually pretty good.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share what they do for stress relief?
Yeah, apart from those activities to connect to the teacher, to connect to the nature, and also like I downloaded some meditation apps to help me to have a good sleep or meditation.
Oh, okay.
I feel sleeping can resolve everything fast. Sometimes when I have a good sleep, I wake up and everything will be fine. And also, as for me, I prefer to find that like a matter or thing which makes me anxious. I need to know about that. And then after I identify that matter, uh, and I will do it right away. So I think this is the best way for me to resolve the root of being anxious, I think.
And I think that's a really good point. I think that, definitely identifying what's causing our anxiety and kind of addressing it is very, very helpful. And I think that, sometimes if that thing that we identify is something that we can't do anything about, that's when we can then use these other strategies around, okay, well, I've done what I can, so maybe now I need to go for a bike ride or sleep on it and see if it sounds better tomorrow morning or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that you guys pretty much identified a lot of them. I think taking care of our bodies, so eating, sleeping, exercise, those are really fundamental things that have a huge impact on our mood, our stress levels, our ability to cope. Connecting with others, I think that's especially important. Right now, we're kind of needing to connect in different ways, but staying connected with family, with friends, with nature, making sure that we have those connections in our lives. Having some kind of routine. So again, thinking about, sleeping on a regular schedule, keeping ourselves busy with school or work or family time. Like what do our days look like? How can we plan those days? Kind of lost my little slide here because I can't see what else this is. Okay, be kind to yourself. I think that's a really big one too. I think oftentimes when we feel anxious or we feel stressed, we start to beat ourselves up about it, or, start to think, well, I should be able to handle this. Why am I acting this way? That kind of thing. And I think, yeah. So like being kind and kind of recognizing I'm having a really tough time right now. So I don't need to beat myself up about it on top of that, right? Kind of honoring this is difficult. What are some things that can help me get through it? How have I gotten through things like this in the past, right? I think it's important that we be kind with ourselves. Gratitude, practicing gratitude can really help us. Again, thinking about, our gratitude toward nature, toward our friends, toward, these things in our lives. And making sure we have time for rituals, for celebrations, for traditions, right? Make sure that we make time in our days for those things that kind of feed our soul and help us feel good spiritually and emotionally, right? And then I think reaching out for support, right? Like if you are having a particularly difficult time, there are a lot of resources available to help with that, right? Student Health and Wellness is one of them, so I'll put the plug in for that. We are still open. We're doing all of our services virtually, so if you need a doctor appointment or a counseling appointment, it's done over the phone, but we are still taking appointments and meeting with students. We're offering workshops like this one today. We have some other things coming up for July, so definitely follow us on Lakehead Life, check out the website for all of those things that are going to be going on. Yeah.
I don't have a family doctor right now, and I'm going to need one. I just went for some blood work, and I found out that my liver is not very good right now. So that's why I went to go get bearberry, because it's good for the liver. It helps repair those cells.
Yeah.
I did something to myself, which I didn't know. So I was just going to ask you about that, if I could use them, like just to kind of like keep in touch with my physical self. Because like right now, like I was wondering why I was always so tired, always like, but my body was repairing itself, and it was always sore on my left side where my liver was. I was wondering what the heck, and I just thought, well, so I went and got blood work done. Everything else is okay except
so absolutely. You can either call the main number 343-8361, or you can email health@lakeheadu.ca, and then reception will get in touch with you to take your kind of information and phone number and all of that, and then you can get set up with a doctor's appointment over the phone. If the doctor decides they need to see you in person, then we can do that as well, but we usually begin with over the phone. So definitely you can make use of all those services, and we are running clinics most days of the week. So yeah, definitely.
Because the specialist, she asked me, do you have a family doctor? I'm like, I don't think so. But it's good to know that the Lakehead University, because they do have wonderful people that are on site. That's really good, because like I don't know, I forget that is important too, to have like a family doctor. So when we have these issues with our physical stuff, because it does have an effect on how our day-to-day routine is, right? If we're going through some physical ailments, it's workable though, because like my doctor said, you know, just keep on taking care of yourself. I have to drink more water. Have to still maintain my routine that I do have, and just think positive. And just like my mom told me, one day at a time is very important. That kind of like keeps things like in the present moment. And at the present, I'm feeling healthy. If I can walk up and go to the top of Mount McKay without, you know, feeling ill,
For sure.
that's a good thing. So yeah, I just I'll take that into consideration. Thank you for reminding me about that we do have services available to us.
Yeah, definitely. Tomorrow we're going to be running our last meditation session of June. So if you're interested, there's a Zoom link on our website. You can attend and do a half-hour meditation. And then for July, we're looking at something a little bit different where we're going to be posting mindful moments. So check, if you're following us on Instagram, you'll get access to those, just little quick ways to practice mindfulness.
I don't have Instagram.
Oh, you should download it. I didn't have it for the longest time either, but I got it so I could see what we were doing all the time.
Okay.
You can use Instagram as a website too. Like you can click on the links and then just watch it from your laptop too.
Okay. So if you check our website, you can probably, there will be links to our mindful moments and things like that. And so you could access it from our website, I think is what Lindsay's saying. And then off-campus resources, this is just, again, there's lots of resources available off-campus as well. So some of the ones that I often talk to people about, Good to Talk, which is a 24/7 helpline. To Get Wellness Together Canada is a new program, which is actually pretty neat. It has tons and tons of resources for mental health, and it basically assesses your mood, your functioning, and your stress levels, and then makes recommendations based on how you score on those things for what would be most helpful. Big White Wall is an online peer support community. If you're interested a bit more to learn a bit more about anxiety and kind of how to manage anxiety, anxietycanada.com is a fantastic website. It covers a lot of the things we talked about today and has even more resources as well. So I highly recommend that. And then always, of course, Thunder Bay Crisis Response, they're 24/7. Local crisis lines, so there are people who are actually in Thunder Bay. So if you're feeling in crisis or you feel like you really need to speak to someone right away, call Crisis Response.
What is that Bounce Back to Ontario? What's that?
Bounce Back Ontario is a free program that uses cognitive behavioral therapy to treat anxiety and depression. You just need an Ontario postal code, so you need to be a resident of Ontario in order to sign up. There's a self-help component where you can watch videos and kind of work through some things on your own. And you can also sign up to get telephone coaching. So they'll actually talk with you on the phone and then come up with a plan as far as like what aspect would be most helpful to address. They'll send you some workbooks, and then you'll have 6 to 8 phone sessions with a coach who will actually work through the workbooks with you.
Okay, so so you just Google Bounce Back to Ontario and that would show up on the website, and then you just contact them through that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't know if I'm depressed or whatever, because depression is anger turned inward, correct? Mm-hmm. And sometimes I don't know how to express myself to other people that mistreat me, because like I get anxious that the feedback that I get back from them, because they don't know that they're treating me wrong, and when I say something, then I'm afraid of what outcome it is. So I just kind of like, I don't say anything, and I just like.
And there's actually some, I know that looking through the workbooks that are offered through Bounce Back, there are some specific to kind of like assertive communication and social anxiety, like lots of things. So yeah, check it out and see if there's something there that might be helpful. Oh,
yeah, because like maybe I could like help that person by saying something positive back to them, or thinking some positiveness out of it. So that kind of looked kind of interesting to check out. I
Mhm.
could learn some new skills without making that other person, you know, like the flight or fight thing that you were talking about when we were first starting, because that happens to me a lot, because it either like I just back off and I just become this turtle, or just go boop back into my shell and not say nothing, because it's better not to say anything right away until I think about the situation. Is it my fault? Is it their fault? Or what kind? Like it's important to think about it, because the elders told me to always like think about things before you say things, because sometimes when you say things, you can't take them back. So which is kind of like, I'd like to learn that. So that's why I was asking about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me know about that.
So we are at the end of our half hour. I don't, if there's any questions or anything else that people were wondering about. Thank you very much for attending. And we are gonna send out some, just a very, very quick survey kind of at the end of June for everyone who's attended any of our sessions. Really appreciate any feedback. We wanna know how it was, if there's other topics you want to learn about. So when you get that or see that, please fill it out. We really value feedback from everyone. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, Irene.
Yeah,
And you
it's nice.
wonderful summer. And I'll check out your meditation tomorrow. So you will send a link to me.
If you go to our website, or Lindsay, can you send a link in the chat?
Yeah, I can. Give me 1 second.
Okay. So Lindsay will send a link in the chat to the meditation. It's a Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Like I need to connect with people more, because like I've just been so disconnected with, you know, the being quarantined and pandemic, and just bombarded with, you know, just not being near people and just that being afraid, I guess. And it's, my mom told me not to be afraid. So so that's
Yep. So there's the Zoom link that Lindsay just sent. Sorry.
okay.
Thank you, Irene.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Beverly. Yeah, Beverly, if you want to talk, you can let me know. We can talk together.
That would be wonderful, Sean.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Want me to I could send you my number,
Yeah.
and we could go for coffee and kind of
Yeah.
I can share what the translation that you're saying.
Yeah, we can talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to you later. Thank you, Irene.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Bye. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, I got the link for tomorrow at 1 p.m. Okay.
Okay, take care.
Wonderful day, Lindsay. Not Lindsay, Irene.
Yeah, take care.
Okay.
Bye.
See you.
That was better. She chatted.
Okay.
Okay. Have a nice afternoon.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.